forecast for the week of May 21st, 2023. Lots of 20s in this number, huh? So we start this week coming off of an aspect that is really hot on Saturday the 20th. You may be watching this on Saturday the 20th, in which case it's still really hot, and it's going to be hot for a while. And that is the opposition of Mars to Pluto. Mars goes into Leo, and the first thing he does from 0 degrees Leo is to oppose Pluto on the 20th. This is a sparked up fighting kind of aspect. There's a lot of tension in this. It's the Mars happy to be out of Cancer, striding into Leo, ready to do his thing. And then there's Pluto in Aquarius, perhaps some tension from the collective. Irritability, Saturday the 20th, spilling over into Sunday the 20th, and perhaps a little bit beyond. So this is kind of the aspect that will get some people ready for a fight. And it could be a really reasonable fight. It could be something that you're advocating for. It could be a wonderful opportunity for you to push creative stuff out there. But there's also resistance. And it's an open question who gets the better of, well, it's always an open question of who gets the better of a situation, right? So use the energy constructively Saturday the 20th and beyond. Now, the sun, early in the hours of the 21st, the sun moves into Gemini, leaves Taurus for Gemini. And you know what the first thing he does is he makes nice aspects to Pluto. It's a trine to Pluto and then a sextile to Mars. It's almost like the sun on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is sort of trying to, mollify the situation, trying to, add a little bit of extra, maybe communication, maybe a little bit more ease with things, sort of saying to Mars and Pluto, come on, we can work this out. And of course, the sun's in Gemini, where you can see both perspectives, and hopefully we can too. So that tension that characterizes, let's say, Saturday the 20th, Sunday the 21st, maybe on the 22nd or so, starts to get a little bit easier. Hopefully, actually, as soon as the sun moves into Gemini and starts his aspecting, hopefully things will ease out. So if it was a very tense weekend, if Saturday and Saturday night didn't go like planned, well, we can all hope that maybe Sunday and even Monday will be a little bit better. And then what do you think happens next? And then on Tuesday, Mars in Leo goes on to square Jupiter. And that's our aspect of this week. Remember, I said a couple of weeks ago, every week in May has an aspect that is going to be about tension, and it is going to be about challenges. Well, this is the aspect for this week. I mean, really, we kind of got last week's aspect too. Well, last week had Jupiter square Pluto, and technically last week had the Mars-Pluto opposition. This week, well, we got a lot of that this week, but this week, Mars squared Jupiter. The tense aspect, again, Mars in Leo, ready to do his thing, ready, encouraging us to be, be an individual, be creative, stand up for yourself. This is very much a stand up for yourself kind of aspect. And Jupiter in Taurus, well, Jupiter in Taurus doesn't really have any complaints about any of that. Maybe a little bit of the tension, though, is Jupiter in Taurus kind of just wants to enjoy himself, and Mars is a little bit more active, fire sign versus an earth sign. So, Jupiter is sort of giving some energy to Mars, saying, okay, let's go do something. Let's go do this creative project. Let's go start let's go. I mean, some people actually go running and things like that. Let's go do some exercise. Let's go do it. And then Jupiter in Taurus is like, but on second thought, maybe we could just sort of lay on the couch for a little while. That would be okay too, wouldn't it? And so that might be some of the tension. It might be kind of like, do I want to have an active good time, or do I want to just rest up? It's Tuesday, so this isn't the kind of thing. Probably being active is probably a good choice. Although, if you can rest up, that's good too. There's a lot of energy in this aspect, though, and that's the way to think about it. I mean, we feel that Mars Pluto opposition on the weekend. We're not very far into the week before we feel this Mars Jupiter. And it's just a lot of energy, and you have to have a way to deal with it. You have to have some manner of expression for this energy. Otherwise, it can turn into anger. It can turn into just orneriness, I think would be probably the thing that would affect most people. On the collective level, this is a little bit more serious kind of thing, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Jupiter in Taurus. I mean, again, Jupiter really loves being in Taurus. It's the sign of his best friend Venus, and he likes to luxuriate himself there. But the first thing he did when he gets into the sign is to square to Pluto, and now he's got the square coming in from Mars. They're really forming what we call a T-square, and very tense aspect with Jupiter sitting in the middle of it. And so, and it's happening at the early degrees of signs where things get a little bit extra anyway. So my sense of it is that it could be pretty tense on the collective level, although things are always tense on the collective level. As I said last week, we a lot of what's going on in the collective is we're really walking out decisions that we made in the last decade, really. So some of this stuff we can't, it's all these aspects do is set off tensions that are already there. So it's something to be aware of. Now, we would think that this aspect might cool down after Tuesday, except the moon comes into Leo, and the moon starts to kick things up at midweek. So it sort of reignites this Mars Pluto opposition and the Mars Jupiter square. So everything gets heated up again. The moon is ready to start stuff. It's waxing. Right, it's waxing towards the first quarter moon. That happens later in the week. That's as we end the week. But we feel this energy at midweek. It's that it continues that fiery sort of feel. So I would say Tuesday, Wednesday, very fiery period of time. Now, again, have a good outlet for it. Also, though, watch out. The moon is our creative collective indicator. It's the indicator for the collective. It's in Leo. It's very creative. So watch what happens with the moon opposite Pluto meeting with Mars. It kind of seems to indicate that folks might be a little bit more combative than they usually are. Verbally, I'm sure. Not quite sure. It's going to be just verbally, but we'll look towards that. Then we come into the first quarter moon. Now this is the active phase. I mean, we really came out of last week's new moon, and right away Mars Pluto, and then Mars Jupiter, and now so the moon is now waxing to the first quarter moon at the end of the week. The moon's in Virgo. It's a little cooler sign, and that's kind of nice. I think in this context, that's kind of nice. This cooler energy at the first quarter moon. It seems like the first part of the week, things are very much up in the air, and there's a lot of excitement and tension. And we're not quite ready for it because the moon is not really, hasn't waxed that far out of the new moon. And so, it's a little bit like jumping out of bed the first thing and having to run out of the house and drive down the street or something like that. There's a little bit too much demand for your immediate capacity. That's what happens when we get active right after the new moon. So it's at the first quarter moon in precision-oriented Virgo. that we can start to make maybe more rational decisions and be a little bit less pushed around by the circumstances. So as we get towards the weekend of the 27th, 28th, we start to get into a little bit better spot, and then the moon goes into Libra eventually. It's going to trine the sun, and so it's going to trine Pluto, and so we get this nice feeling of things maybe evening out a little bit. Maybe. We're going to look and see, though, that Leo moon, right? The Leo moon, which is going to kick in early on Wednesday. One thing that you're going to look for with that is just the sense of what it's like for the Leo moon to be opposite Pluto, because eventually the moon is going to be opposing Pluto from Leo every month for, from late 2024 into 2044. So we'll see what that's like. Get a little preview, a little glimpse of it this week. Okay, so there we have it. 10th start to the week, and then a little bit more tension, a little bit more energy than we're ready for early on. And then as we get towards the first quarter moon at the end of the week, think Friday, Saturday, we have a little bit more opportunity to make decisions and be a little bit more rational about things. You know what else is happening on the 27th, right? On Saturday, the 27th at 11:30, we will have another live astrology hangout where you can ask questions, and we can talk about stuff that's happening in the sky now. You can talk about stuff that's in your chart. It'll be a nice half an hour or 40 minutes or so just to sort of dish about astrology, and that's always kind of fun. So I hope to see you there. Hope that you I hope you like the video, but I hope that you like the video, and please subscribe. That's great. And I will see you soon.